Welcome back. We're here to look ahead to Sunday afternoon's Premier League match between West Ham and West Brom. Barnes will start with the visitors last time out. Really impressive win over Arsenal.
Yeah, very big victory. I don't think anyone really saw that one coming from West Brom. They had lost to Leicester and United in 2 games prior to that. Obviously, two teams also in the top half as well as Arsenal. So I don't think too many people gave them a chance against the Gunners, especially as in that game against United they defended so deeply and they only really created that one chance through Berahino. Rarely looked like scoring in that. So to get 2 goals against Arsenal is a big plus for them. Big surprise, bonus points really to lift them up the table a bit more. You'd have to say that they had their fair share of luck in that match. I think Cazorla missing the penalty late on. Big stroke of luck for that to happen, and even the goals, Arteta's own goal, really unlucky for that to happen. There's not too much he could have done about that. Maybe got his body in a bit of a twist at the near post. Perhaps could have done better defensively with that, but there wasn't too much in the end he could do to stop turning into his own net. And I think even Morrison's goal to level things up after Giroud opened scoring had a bit of an element of luck about it. I mean, if he meant it, it's one of the goals of the season. The way he managed to volley that in, but to be honest, I don't think he meant it. The way he sort of volleyed it, he seemed to want to get something on it. I don't think he had it in his mind to get that over and into the top corner. So I think there was an element of luck about both of West Brom goals and the Cazorla missed penalty, obviously, but they held on. It's a good victory. They don't always have to play their best as long as they can get the points on the board, and that is a big victory. Some bonus points for Pulis.
And that was only their second home league win all season, so they haven't really been doing enough at the Hawthorns, and more of their points have come away from home this season, and they've actually only lost twice away from home as well. So they generally have been better on the road, and I think they'll come into this game quite full of confidence because West Ham, they haven't been great form themselves. I think West Brom might fancy another scalp here, and you look at their recent sort of run of form. You mentioned, they played Leicester United before Arsenal. That's 3 of the top 4 they played in their last 3 matches. Now they've got West Ham here, Spurs, who we know are playing really well at the moment, and then Liverpool after that, who are looking good as well. So it's a really, really tough run of fixtures for West Brom, and if they can sort of keep themselves about sort of 12th, 13th in the table where they are now, a good distance away from the drop zone going into the new year, then I think they'll be in a good position because obviously the fixtures will get a bit easier. But as it is, they've had some really tough games.
And you mentioned West Ham's form at the moment there. It's really not great. 1 point out of 9 after 7 unbeaten. We were lauding Slaven Bilic's team, quite rightly so, in the early stages of the season. They were looking very impressive, but last time out against Tottenham was probably the worst part of their season so far. Obviously, big London rivals against Tottenham, so to be just thoroughly outplayed and to lose 4-1 in that game could have been even worse. That Kane missed chance as well. It was a really poor performance from West Ham. You'd have to credit Tottenham, a really good performance from them, but West Ham defensively, they gave away far too much. The Kane second goal in particular, Tompkins just giving it straight to Kane, and then Adrian probably should save it as well. It went right underneath him. Toby Alderweireld, that header, they just lost him. It was good movement from Alderweireld, but still, defensively, you look at from set pieces, it's always annoying to concede goals from set pieces, so they'll feel they could have done better defensively in that one. It wasn't a good performance from Slaven Bilic's side. After winning at the Emirates, Anfield and Etihad already this season, obviously they have one of the best away records in the Premier League. I think before last weekend only Arsenal had a better away record in the league, so they would have fancied a chance of getting something out of that. So to be beaten so convincingly will be really disappointing for them.
Absolutely. One little positive, another goal for Lanzini. That's 2-2 now since, and he's obviously going to be a bit of a focal point with Payet missing. So for him to be 2-2, I think it's a good sign for them that he's scoring goals because it's been a bit few and far between in the first few weeks of the season. But he looks like he might be able to step up in Payet's absence because Payet being out is obviously huge for them. And even for this game, Mark Noble suspended, James Collins still suspended, Enner Valencia is still out injured. So they've got a few injury problems there. Andy Carroll didn't look that great against Spurs. He didn't really get in the game at all. And you look at the league table now, they're still 6th, West Ham. They're still in a decent position, but only 2 points above Stoke in 11th. And the way it's really sort of congested there in those sort of places, they could easily plummet down towards the bottom half with another defeat here. So you have to say that even though it's 6th place next to their name at the moment, if they don't get a win here, it could easily change. And you do worry a bit about West Ham, I think.
Yeah, and the perception is that Slaven Bilic has made a good start as West Ham United boss, and they've been playing well. 6th in the table is a decent position to find themselves in, but at this stage last season they actually had one more point and they were 5th in the table. Sam Allardyce last season went into the season with a lot of pressure on his shoulders. We thought a few poor results to start the season and he would have been gone. The owners seemed to want him gone, but they stuck with him that season and they couldn't really sack him after he made a really good start to the campaign, and they brought Bilic in to improve things. They have been easier on the eye, you have to say that, which is probably the main reason David Gold and David Sullivan brought him in. So that's been a plus for Slaven Bilic's side, but they're worse off than they were under Allardyce at the same stage of last season. Obviously, they went on to finish 12th in that, which they'll want to avoid happening this time around. You always expected them to sort of tail off towards as the season wore on last campaign, but this time they perhaps look like they got a bit more staying power, a bit more about them that would put them in the European places. But as things stand, Allardyce was doing a better job at the same stage of last season.
He is, and West Ham, if you sort of say there, if they do really want to get into the European places, this is the sort of game they need to win. Which way do you see it going?
Yeah, I can see West Ham getting the win here. I know West Brom got a good result against Arsenal last time out, but as they say, they rode their luck there. West Ham, I can see them bouncing back from the Tottenham one. They're not in the best form, but I can see them winning 2-1 here.
2-1. I'm going to back a draw in this one. Just looking at sort of the recent record between the two, 6 of the last 9 and 4 of the last 5 at Upton Park in particular against the Baggies have been draws, and I just think West Brom might frustrate them a bit, and West Ham haven't looked great of late, so I'm going to go for 1-1 draw. So 1 West Ham win and a draw. Thanks for joining us.